In the past few weeks, there have been several protests at the state capitol, all drawing minimal crowds. But tomorrow's event is causing law enforcement to plan ahead. She's driving us out of business. We're driving to Lansing. That's the banner you'll find on the Operation Gridlock Facebook event, encouraging people fed up with Governor Whitmer's stay home, stay safe order to drive to Lansing and circle the Capitol building. And from the looks of it, there will be a big turnout. One of the organizers I spoke with says everyone is protesting for different reasons. Some people want the entire economy to open back up immediately. Others are seeking fewer restrictions. For example, changing essential workers to safe workers to allow businesses like landscapers to get back to work.
We were sort of hoping that her tone would be a little hopeful, like, hey, things are looking way better than we had predicted. Because of that, we think that we can, lighten everybody's tension a little bit and get some of these people back to work. Instead of that tone, she took away more of our rights. She gave us greater restrictions.
Governor Whitmer, on the other hand, says those tighter restrictions are essential for flattening the curve of COVID-19. In preparation for tomorrow's event, the Lansing Police Department says they're partnering with Michigan State Police to make sure everyone is safe. Here for you in Lansing, Kiera Hay, 6 News.
If it makes you better to direct it at me, that's okay too. I've got thick skin.
Let us work.
And I'm always going to defend your right to free speech.
Well, that's what the governor said 2 days ago, and happening right now, a drive-by protest against her stay home, stay safe executive order around the Capitol in downtown Lansing. It is our top story today at noon. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Siobhan Klepfer. Protesters have gathered on the Capitol lawn and are driving around the Capitol complex in protest of Governor Gretchen Whitmer's decision to tighten rather than relax what was already one of the nation's strictest stay-at-home orders in an effort to battle the coronavirus. We have team coverage of the protest in downtown Lansing. We'll begin with our Kiera Lake. She's here for you now with what people are demanding from the governor today. Kiera?
Siobhan, here in downtown Lansing, I'm at the Capitol, right at the corner of Capitol and Michigan Ave. Now, I just want to show you how many people are out here today on the Facebook group for this event. More than 4,000 people said that they were coming out. And actually, I want to take you out here to Capitol right now just to show you how gridlocked this area is. Normally, it would be a flow of traffic, but not today. Now, the people who came out said that they're demanding that the governor scale back or terminate the stay-at-home and stay safe order. And some people also want the entire economy to open back up immediately. And others are seeking fewer restrictions. One woman that I talked to, she actually came from Kalamazoo, and she wants the same exact thing.
It's time for our state to be opened up. We're tired of not being able to buy the things that we need, go to the hairdressers, get our hair done. It's time to open up. The sick are being taken care of. If you're sick, stay home and in your house. The ones that can work need to work. We need to open our businesses.
It's loud, music is going. There are a ton of people down here, including Brittany Flowers. So we're going to see where she is now and what's going on where she is.
Well, Kiera, right now I'm on the corner of Allegan and Walnut, and just like where you are, you can see that these streets are completely just filled with cars. Originally, just one section of Walnut was filled, but cars have begun filing into this portion of Walnut Street as well. The protest on Facebook, the event actually told people to stay in their cars and not walk around, but you can see clearly there are a number of people that are still doing that. I've talked to a number of people here today. Most say they don't have an issue with the quarantine, but are upset that the governor has created so many restrictions. One woman I spoke to who came with her family calls the governor's guidelines, quote, ridiculous.
Our community is struggling. My husband is on unemployment for the first time in our life. And it's unwillingly that we're taking unemployment. We want to go back to work. We have employees. We have paychecks to issue. We have bills to pay. The only stores open are Walmart? That's ridiculous. That's why we're here.
We have seen police down here patrolling the area both on foot and on bicycles, but we're not aware of any incidents. We are not sure how long this protest is expected to last, but we'll of course continue to bring you updates throughout the afternoon and tonight on 6 News. Here for you live in Lansing, Brittany Flowers, 6 News. Back to you.
For hours today, thousands of people filled the streets and sidewalks of downtown Lansing, taking part in what was called Operation Gridlock, creating a traffic jam around the streets of the Capitol building because they wanted to send a loud message that they're tired of living in lockdown and want to get back to work. Kaylee Marentet was there with the governor this afternoon, and she spoke with protesters. So, Kaylee, what can you tell us?
Sherry, the governor gave us an update on the latest coronavirus cases and deaths related to COVID-19, along with recently signed executive orders, while thousands of protesters met on the streets of downtown Lansing.
The sad irony here is that the protest was that they don't like being in this stay-home order, and they may have just created a need to lengthen it.
Operation Gridlock left Lansing streets at a standstill and filled with signs, flags, and car horns. Protesters called for Governor Whitmer to reassess her latest stay-home, stay-safe order.
I can go to a pot shop and get pot, but I can't get my teeth fixed right now.
I don't want government ever stepping in and telling us what to do in our own homes, in our own communities, outside of common sense regulations.
We want to go back to work. We have employees. We have paychecks to issue. We have bills to pay.
The governor says she supports the right to demonstrate, but in times like this, she says what the protesters are doing is not helping to slow the spread of the virus.
When people gather that way without masks, they were in close proximity, they were touching one another, that's how COVID-19 spreads.
But in the midst of the protests, Governor Whitmer and Chief Medical Executive Dr. Janae Caldoun gave an update on COVID-19 in Michigan.
We are very optimistic that the actions that we are taking right now as a state are working. However, a plateau does not mean that we are out of the woods.
And they're still asking people across the state to continue to stay home, stay safe, and take precautions.
And we've got to all do our part for the sake of one another and for the sake of our economy.
Governor Whitmer also added that there have been more than 3.5 million pieces of personal protection equipment that have been donated by individuals and businesses. In California, will loan our state 50 ventilators, while New York will be sending 100 ventilators to Michigan. Sherry, back to you.
Hundreds gather outside the state capitol building wanting to get back to work. It's our top story at noon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Siobhan Klepfer. That protest started early this morning. Demonstrators want the governor's stay home, stay safe order to end. They're calling on lawmakers not to extend the state of emergency because doing so gives Governor Gretchen Whitmer executive authority to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. We have team coverage of today's rally outside and what lawmakers are doing inside as they prepare to vote. We're going to start with Kiera Lake, who's with the protesters. How have things been going so far, Kiera?
Siobhan, as you can see behind me, it is a pretty decent crowd here on the Capitol lawn, but it's not anything like Operation Gridlock. Traffic is still flowing. Now, the protesters behind me, they're actually listening to a group of speakers who came to talk to the different people who are here at the event right now. Now, they want the governor to stop her stay-at-home order, and they have been listening to these speakers, and they are explaining how the governor has overstepped her authority and why they believe the stay-at-home order should be lifted.
It is very important that we as Americans stand up for our Constitution and for our civil liberties, because as we know, government continues to take and take. When this is all said and done, much like with the Patriot Act, what are we going to be left with is the big question.
I also believe in people's rights, and I don't think just because there's a crisis they should be trampled on or pushed aside.
And Ashley Graham is also here at the Capitol today. She actually got a chance to talk to Michigan State Police, and she joins us now with their response. What can you tell us, Ashley?
Kiara, even police here at the Capitol are relieved with the response so far to this protest and how protesters have been carrying themselves so far. Earlier, I spoke with Lieutenant Brian Oleksick today just to talk about how things have been for them. And he says by his count, roughly 800 to 1,000 people have come out to this protest. He says the crowd has been pretty calm today, and it looks very different from the recent Operation Gridlock protests at the Capitol a few weeks ago. Oleksick also says the response from Michigan State Police changed between then and now to make things smoother and more efficient.
People this time are doing the social distancing and seeing a lot of people wear a lot more masks, and for our officers as well wearing masks today. So far everybody seems to be well behaved and they're complying with what needs to be done, and hopefully they protest in a safe manner.
Earlier we did speak to people who were either wearing masks or not wearing masks, a little bit of both, so we'll hear from lots of people later on tonight. And one of the things that protesters are here for is to ask the governor to not extend that stay-at-home order, and to also ask the state legislator not to grant her that emergency order power. And we're waiting on the House and the Senate to get started with their days. We're expecting the Senate to start around 12:30. The House just started with their business a few minutes ago. We're going to head back inside and bring you updates throughout the day as we learn more on air and online at WLNS.com. Here for you live in the Capitol, Ashley Graham, 6 News. Back to you.
Hundreds gather at the Capitol for another round of protests against the governor's executive orders. It's our top story at 6. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Thompson.
And I'm Sherry Jones. It wasn't as large as the gridlock protest a couple of weeks ago, but the Capitol grounds and then the Capitol Rotunda were filled with people opposed to Gretchen Whitmer's stay home, stay safe orders.
We have live team coverage from the Capitol for you tonight. We kick it off with Ashley Graham. And Ashley, you watched as those protesters filled the Capitol demanding to enter the House of Representatives today. Tell us more about that part of the protest this afternoon.
Sherry and Lauren, let me walk you through this. This is a TV where anyone could watch a live stream of the Capitol House proceedings. And you can see in this area where I'm standing and up these stairs, going up a few floors, that's where people were crowding around trying to demand to be let into the House floor. Because according to them, this is the people's house and they have every right to be in there during those proceedings and any votes. There were chants of "Let us in" and "Open Michigan" for about an hour as people were standing out here singing the national anthem and other patriotic songs. They were also carrying guns and insisting that they deserve to be let inside during the vote. Many were not wearing masks while they were out here, and with such a big crowd, there was no way for social distancing to really even happen. Michigan State Police officers and House aides blocked the doors from anyone to be let in or out. And after the House vote, I spoke with one protester about why she decided to participate and what she hopes people at home will understand about what happened today.
There was a lot of passionate people that, for whatever reason, it's all on the line for them. We all want to see the doors open up. And I think they're just heated, they're passionate, they're excited, and then we, from what they say, we got what we wanted. So we just have to see how the Senate passes.
The chanting and cheering continued until well after the House vote, and a few people actually stuck around to go over to the Senate side on the other side of the rotunda. That's where they're in session right now. We'll be following for any updates throughout the night, and we'll let you know as we learn more. Here for you live at the Capitol, Ashley Graham, 6 News. Back to you.